Welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, sorry I'm coming on a few minutes late, it looks like. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play out as karmic themes, help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. Because a lot of times that's what happens. We get stuck in ruminating about what happened, what did happen, what's gonna happen because we're with somebody that is in balance a lot of times. And when I say that, a person that emotionally can't is not intelligent is in balance. A person that's survival. How does a person become that is they've lived a lot of traumatic experiences. So the more that a person goes through traumatic experiences, the more that they look for like those things in a relationship, and they don't realize that a lot of times they contribute to those things in a relationship. And you say, well, if I'm doing the exact opposite, so it's again, it's what you attract what you need. So if you have trauma around people that betray you, well, guess what? You're going to attract people that betray you. You may say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, there's two energies, love and fear. And until you integrate the spiritual lesson, you keep getting it. That's why there is such thing called shadow healing, because shadow healing requires you to integrate the spiritual lesson and then actually alchemize. You're the alchemist of your life. You've heard that before. You have to do something with that negative energy. You can't just get rid of negative energy. And that means you can't just say that it's not there either. A lot of people suppress that energy and say that it's not there because they forgot about it. The relationship might have happened 10 years ago, or you might have grown up with trauma. You said, oh, it was a thing of the past. I forgave, I forgot. We don't until we learn the spiritual lesson. So people can say, no, I forgive. People try to forgive, but it's the other person's karma that you actually don't forgive 100%. And the reason why is it's that person's karma. No one wants anyone to hate them or be mad at them. No one really wants to be in that energy, though it may seem like some people do. Because that's another thing. When people are negative, they like drama. But understand that drama is coming from the fact that that person doesn't like who they are. So they create drama. So that's why we do shadow healing, not just to find out what your person is going to do, what they did do, or even what you're going to do. It's to say what's blocking you, what's preventing you from having the life and the life experiences that you want to have. And everybody wants to be abundant. Everyone wants money because money is security, right? On some level. It's also freedom on another level. So everybody wants it. So it's not so much, oh, that people are money hungry, but people, again, want to have the option. And they also want to have good relationships. And they also want to have good health. So everything that happens in the spiritual realm will eventually manifest in the physical realm when it's in balance. See, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. So when there is detachment and disassociation, and you have a person that has gone through a tremendous amount of trauma, maybe they grew up in it, and then they created the same experience, understand they attract negative entities. It's called attachments. They're negative, unclean spirits. That's what happens. And what happens is you see the person relive the same experience. It's called a karmic loop. And the karmic loop is they continue to live a karmic theme that solidifies that belief that there's something wrong with them. But really, there's nothing wrong with anyone, because God says, I don't make anything that's wrong. People become that way from the environments, from the people that they surround themselves with. And so healing is, like I said, it's not just a yes or no or what your person's going to do. It's to understand that the reading has many dimensions to it. It has a therapy style to it, so that might not be your thing. If it is, stick around. If you resonate with the video, give it a like. And I've been starting off recently with just, I'd say recently, but since the beginning of the year, looking at just you in the beginning, because we'll see if there's blockages, if those blockages play out like within your relationship as well. But usually they do. I'm going to pull from my deck too. I haven't pulled my deck out in a while. And we're going to pull from 4 different decks. All right. I hope everyone's having a great day. All righty. Let's see. I always like to pull them separate, like pull them and then read them separate and then kind of read them together. All right, that just jumped right on out. Don't know what it is because it landed face down. And we'll pull one from my deck. This is so big. These cards don't even belong in there. Okay, we'll pull one. Clear karmic programs of intolerance. That's what you got from my deck. And we got rest, building, hiking. You are the boss of your life. You can hire, fire, promote. We've been getting that every single day now. And promote accordingly. Be willing to stand alone. Those who are meant to stand with you will remain. Have compassion towards others who may not see the world through a different. Have compassion towards others who may see the world through a different lens of experience. Okay, and then we see control wound, ancestral wound, and religious trauma. So I'm feeling like there's a lot of people that are, obviously, if you're on this channel and watch this channel, you're a spiritual person. And I feel like you are a very spiritual person, even if you don't watch this channel regularly. And there's some people that are just threatened by it. And I feel like your type of religion, you didn't really get what you needed growing up. So you kind of found what resonates with you. But there are people that don't really resonate with it, is what Spirit's saying. And so I feel like you also are in the point right now of clearing ancestral karma. So I'm feeling like, again, you're becoming your own person. And that's even just through, having different views, where Spirit's saying it's like, learn to stand by yourself. Like, if you truly believe in something and you're really passionate about something, then don't let other people sway you from your beliefs. Don't let other people, talk you out of, your passion or your whatever it is. And because Spirit's saying it's like, it almost seems like you might have been the black sheep of the family. And so when the black sheep has always grown up in an environment, when I say always, from the day that they were born, it was like that's the role that they played. If there was something wrong, it was you. It's that you didn't think the same way. You didn't mind to not look like the rest of the family, that you were that person in the family that was different, that was unique. And it was seen as, why can't you just blend in? How come you can't and it obviously, as a kid, that made you feel uncomfortable when it's through your family. But understand, parents also see what they look for. So when parents have trauma of their own, and I feel like your parents might have just been like one of those people that were like the Joneses, did what the Joneses did, thought the way that the Joneses did. So again, on a collective level, there was no individuality. So when you're the black sheep, understand your path is gonna be a hard one, but it's gonna be because you're supposed to do great things. And the reason why is because the black sheep always perceives that there's something wrong with them. Because it's like, well, if my own family doesn't connect with me, then there's got to be something wrong with me. Where spirit says, no, understand that the black sheep's the strongest one. They're the truth speakers. They're the ones that are the squeaky wheel. And they are different because again, they have to be. So, but this will show up almost as reoccurring patterns of fear, trauma, and limiting passed down unconsciously. So understand you're still a product of your environment. So you might have had habits and behaviorisms that needed to be broken. So this could be, hey, you grew up where your parents were like the Joneses, tried to be like the Joneses, but they didn't get along well. So on the inside, it didn't look the way that they presented on the outside. So there's that disillusion. And when the black sheep is different, well, that's creating a tension to the imbalances in the family. So when people feel inadequate about themselves, they're going to take it out on you. You're the problem. They have to put it somewhere. That's what happens when people don't do shadow healing. Everybody needs shadow healing. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It means that you're a spiritual being and that, hey, you live experiences that throw you off your center. And the center is just being in the energy of unconditional love, open to receiving. Sometimes we're like, fuck you. I don't want to, or I'm scared. I don't want to. Either way, spirit says that it's like the experiences happen. So it's not about changing your environment, it's about changing you, becoming strong. This is what needs to be looked at. Spirit saying, it's like, don't be controlled by the environment. Understand you might have had parents that were really controlling on top of it. Fear, second chakra imbalance. If I'm trying to be like the Joneses and fitting in, and then I'm always looking in everybody else's garden. And I'm never 100% satisfied with my own garden. And so then I need to control what's in my environment, which means you, because you're my property. Kind of like my child like is property, where you're like, you're not property, you're an actual individual. So this shows up as strong need to control people or situations rooted in fear. And so understand you might also have now the feeling of, I need to control like the relationship that I'm in because I don't trust the person. And it's like, oh, and I don't want to get hurt. And so it's again will show up as like linked to past betrayal and abandonment, like we was saying earlier, when abandonment and betrayal happen too many times, it causes fragmentation and detachment. And that's when you can get negative attachments where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm with someone that's like literally possessed. I feel like and it is. It's like it's a stronghold on the mind. And the stronghold can be again any type of addictive, but it's all rooted in fear. Only two energies, love and fear. Your God-given energy is love. When you are able to manifest, that's when you are really in that energy. You're in the highest vibration. When you're in a low energy, it's like, which is the ancestral energy, is again worried about keeping up with the Joneses. And inside the home, it's not really balanced, but outside the home, there's a different appearance. It's the mask. And then of course, you're the black sheep. You grew up in an environment that made you feel a certain way about yourself. And I feel like the spirit's trying to clear that now. But part of it is embracing your unique individuality. It's embracing that. And it's and be willing to stand alone. So if you believe in something that other people don't believe in, or you do work that other people don't believe, that whatever it is, I'm feeling like some people are like artists and do work, and not everybody, you're not $100 bill, not everyone's going to like you. So you may be placed in a class or around a certain environment that makes you feel like you don't fit in, and it's bringing up this ancestral karma, what you've been living, what you've lived through. It's like I feel inadequate, I feel like the oddball, I feel like I should blend in, I feel like where spirit saying no, 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 remember, you're the black sheep, you never fit in, and you'll never fit in. So the more that you try to fit in, the more that it's not going to. It's about learning to become strong within yourself. You don't change the environment, you change yourself. And that's how you change the environment. Because what you're saying is, I don't care what you think. I don't care. And what people then will say, well, let me take a look at your work. Well, let me take a look at who you are. No, the person's not that bad. But whatever their perception was in the beginning, again, that fear of different, where you're like, I am the ultimate Heyoki. And that's because, again, whatever the trauma was that you grew up in, it's that, but it, which we talked about that already. And where Spirit's saying, so Spirit says, please have compassion for the fact that other people don't see things the way that you do, that you're different. You're vibing at a higher vibration, and that's because, hey, you're more spiritual, you're more into it, you're not, that's not who you are. And so spirit's saying, yeah, and you might be like, I don't want to be compassionate to people, and spirit says, yeah, you need to. It's like, because clearing, the programs of intolerance is that you're going to have to deal with people that don't think this way that you do, and you're not going to like them. But it's not about changing them, it's about changing you and focusing more on your unique individuality and embracing it more and being confident about it. After a while, it pisses people off, like, oh, here you come. But let me tell you something, over time, when they don't see anything, they'll grow to be like, if you weren't around, they'd miss you. They'd say, Where's that? Where's that dumb person today? Even though it's like they wouldn't even care. It's like, but it's almost that camaraderie. Like, the enemies, the arch enemies that wind up like really like there's an emotional connection there. It's a karmic connection. That's what Spirit's saying. You're going to be around people that are not going to be easy to deal with, but it's a karmic connection because you change them. They change you a little bit, and that's what relationships are supposed to do when it's positive. But understand, it's an uncomfortable process because you're dealing with different energy that you're like, I don't even like the way that you think, actually. Or and Spirit says that's the whole point. It's like, you know, you're the boss of your life. You don't need to keep people around. You get to keep who you want to be around, but learn to take what you can take from every person coming into your life, even the people that piss you off. What are they teaching me? Why are they here? And because understand that's what the relationship's supposed to do, because it'll help you grow whatever you're building within work, whatever you're trying to do, it's going to help you. It's knowledge is what spirit's saying. It's knowledge through having different people come into your life, think differently, show you different perceptions to help you think a little bit differently. And that sometimes when we have too much yin energy, and that's just feminine energy, we might be really into it and we're not as grounded, we're not as structured. The spirit brings us real, those tight ass people that are like, they do everything by, which is usually Virgo energy. It's just not my Virgo energy because I'm right on the cusp. So I'm more like a Scorpio, even though I'm not, I'm really a Virgo, it's like those Virgos are known to, they're the squeaky the wheel. They're the ones that are going to come in and be like, that's wrong, do it over, do it. And I'm a wing it type of person. I mean, I'm a psychic mind, and that's how we do. And so a lot of times things don't work out, obviously, because spirit says, ah, you got to use the other side of the brain for that. And I just tend to not like to use that side of the brain. However, you may be dealing with, again, people that have the exact opposite energy where you're really into it and you're like, I have to deal with people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it pisses me off. It's like, and they look at me like I'm the different one. They don't accept me. And it's like, so either way, it still is making you feel like that black sheep. You're not included. You're different. And we're going to show that we're not really liking you're different by how we're treating you, but really you're triggering those people to look at themselves, is what spirit is saying. So it's like a weird, it's almost like a weird time, is what spirit says. So what you need to do is get more grounded, be out in nature. Spirit says meditate. And the best way to do that when you're in situations like this, because you'll hold on to a lot of nervous energy, because Virgo's very analytical. They're very think, and it creates a lot of internal emotion. So spirit says walking, walking meditation. So when you go out and you hike and you're out in nature, it's extremely grounding. It helps you get down to the theta level of the mind, which is really that energy of the earth, right? That's what the earth vibrates at, but it's also the energy of love. So your intuition, because Virgos are extremely psychic. Now, that's where I am a Virgo, because I believe that Virgos are more psychic than Scorpios. Scorpios are very emotional, and sometimes that gets in the way, like the fire, where Virgos are like, I'll fix your fucking ass, but I'm going to think about it first, because I'm no dummy, but I'm going to outsmart you every single time. So again, because we look at things from every single area in every way. But spirit says, but in that all mind chatter and the emotional energy. So again, it's more about, connecting better with source through the physical body, where Virgos that will tend to like be more up in their mind again, whereas God says, no, 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 get back into your body, because when you're in your body, you know how to deal with people, because only in the now do you get divine guidance. So spirit will tell you how to navigate, and understand those people are more nervous of you than you actually are of them. It's just you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life and what needs to come into life. So it's uncomfortable, because spirit says, yeah, well, it's just different energy to help you. So get enough rest, because that emotional energy, will, like, that's how Virgos tend to mess up. They get overstimulated on an emotional level, and they will burn themselves out. They'll get sick. They'll get, again, because so they need to rest in order to do that. It's just building time. This is what you need to look at, and it might be for the day, for the week, for the month. But spirit's saying it's like it's like, again, you're proving yourself. Trust is something that happens over time. Understand that. So people may not like certain aspects of you, but then they'll eventually see the human in you when you are consistent. And it's about learning to be around other people who maybe don't view things the way that you do, but you're still learning from each other. It's spirit saying it's now. I would say the reason why you're getting this is because if there's ancestral karma and you are always made to feel like there was something wrong with you, and these people are making you feel like there's something wrong with you, you might have been somebody that would be like, you know what? I'm going to tell fucking Mary Jane to go like shit in her hat, because she told me to that she didn't like the way that I did X, Y, and Z. And really, I did it right, and maybe you did do it right. But it's about not being triggered by saying things the appropriate way. And maybe you're like, I do say things the nice way. I just told them that it was wrong. But it's again, people are like Virgos don't realize that we are so sensitive, that we care so much about our own feelings that we don't care about other people's feelings a lot of times. So we don't realize that we come across that way, that we're really direct because people don't get it. And that's what we'll say. Well, people don't get it. So I like to be direct, but then people take offense to it. And then it's all about how it makes you feel. So it's about building the relationships that sometimes you feel like aren't there to help you grow. And I would say business and work, or just again, when we have problems with people, you know, yeah, like, I mean, we have to teach people. We have to teach people but we have to do it in a way that's be as wise as a serpent, but be as gentle as a dove. Because you may know that a person is like trying to get underneath your skin. You may know that someone is not really doing their job properly. You may know, but it's almost like whatever is going on during this period where you might be up for an advancement within your job. Is you're entering in a new cycle. Maybe it's not within a job. Maybe it's just within life. Maybe you just ended a relationship and it's time to go out there and meet people. It's about feeling more confident because all in all, a shadow is what makes people feel inadequate, makes them feel like there's something wrong with them when there's really nothing wrong with them. It's that, but you're like, what the perception is, and spirit says, well, it's because of that. You had a wound there, number one, from all those reasons that we just talked about. And then on top of it, but having to heal, which is to stand alone and embrace that unique individuality. And then, yes, set boundaries, but in a nice way. Sometimes it's like, I've had to protect the fuck what I have, that so I don't want somebody. So there's a like back off. And then what happens is then people like perceive you wrong, where that's not because you're not mindful of their feelings as much as your own. And maybe that's because you get overstimulated. So spirit says again, part of going hiking is and getting to meditate is not just to meditate. It's because you'll get divine guidance on how to heal your problems. This is about building a real. How do you think you heal fragmentation? You have to not just heal the cognitive, you have to heal the spirit. You like people don't understand that because you can heal the cognitive and say, "Oh, I understand what happened." But then why does it keep happening? And that's because there was fragmentation there. And what do you think? There's negative energies. And those negative energies, there's only two energies, love and fear, and they're spirits. So without filling it with the Holy Spirit that connects us to God, really, that's not like it's not really it's you can heal the cognitive, but if you don't fill yourself up, because remember yourself, your body is where spirit lives. So you're just like the temple per se. So unless you fill the temple with the Holy Spirit, well, then you're an empty house, and clean and not clean spirits go to empty houses. It's only discarnate energies that will go to empty houses. And so that's why people continue to live loops. Now, do I believe that you need to be a holy roller? No, I believe that you need to have a relationship with God. Though I feel like you need to believe that there's something bigger and grander than yourself in order to transcend the limitations of your own mind. this Holy Spirit gives us supernatural power to create whatever we want. That you're the manifester of your life. You're the alchemist of your life. You've heard it, and you're like, then why the fuck does my life look like that? And Spirit says, because of those shadows, because of that. And you may be like, oh, that's why the relationship looks the way, or that's why the job, or that's why. And those are called strongholds. Those are called ancestral karmic curses that, again, when you inherit it, and then there's also so there's all different energies, and shadow healing is integrating the cognitive, but it's also filling the spirit. Because when I see ancestral wound there, it means this is a generational curse. This is an ancestral karmic curse where you're like, yeah, my mother had it, my grandmother had it, that they had it. And then God says, yeah, but your grandmother lived on a plantation, and you don't live on a plantation, but you have the habits and the behaviorisms of anxiety and depression and the other habits that create those manifestations. And Spirit says, where that's not supposed to be there, but you can't just get rid of it. How will you integrate it? How will you see yourself differently? And Spirit says, by doing what we said in here today, and it starts with anything that doesn't work for you. And that doesn't mean that everyone's gonna like it. Be strong enough to stand by yourself, damn it, is what Spirit's saying. It's like, I live inside of you. And understand, if you were smushed down, which if you were the black sheep of the family, you were smushed. Meaning, like, be quiet, oppressed. You know what I'm saying? We didn't look at the inner child wounds, but let's look at them. Let's go backwards today and look at the inner child wounds. But if we see like oppression and suppression, well, Spirit's saying, well, understand, if you're me in physical form, I was never smushed. And I'm not smushed. That's the only reality you may have lived. But my job is to display my glory through the most broken aspects of you. And so that means that you're supposed to be grande. You're supposed to be big. So you're not going to fit in. You're not going to be like everyone else. If you look at all the great people, none of those people, they were all quirky in their own way, is what Spirit says. And it's because God says, I grew you. It's, again, because your parents, inside the house, it was a different story from outside the house. So, that's what Spirit says. The first card out, space. So when I see this card, it means that, if you were in survival mode, you weren't really creating, and space is, you put stuff in the space, right? So you create in the space. So if you're in survival mode, that's not what's happening. You're more worried about whether your parents are going to be in a good mood, especially if you were the black sheep. It's like, how am I going to get yelled at today? Or what am I going to get blamed for today? So Spirit says that you're not that. Second card out is, oh, there it is, oppression, which I knew that we were going to hit. Because again, that's you were the black sheep, you were smushed down. And this is like a mean card, because it was like, again, it wasn't just ignored. Ignored is bad. But it's like, I'm going to talk to you a certain way. I'm going to deliberately push you down. So you became like afraid. And Spirit says 2 energies, love and fear. And understand, if your parents were not happy in a happy marriage, and there was a black sheep to begin with, well, then instead of giving the black sheep the help that they perceived that the black sheep needed, instead they bullied that black sheep, kind of, to get that person to change. Well, that's oppression. I always say, like, this card bothers me because it's like this hand that kind of doesn't look like it's pushing down. It's almost like you get the feeling of like, yeah, I know what's going on. I know what's going on, and and I'm okay with it. And look at this kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if it's done emotionally, then it's done psychologically, and that's psychic trauma. So no one will see it. So again, people will then think, well, what's wrong with you? There's something wrong with you, but meanwhile, there's nothing wrong with you, but the entire family now is, it becomes an every man for themselves type thing when two parents are not getting along and it looks a certain way and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and then you feel inadequate. Your parents felt inadequate to begin with. So it's just a cocktail for disaster, and then throw in cocktails because usually there are, in order to deal with what's happening in the family dynamic. And again, feeling that you're not good enough and that there's something wrong with you. So again, it becomes a war zone where again, there's no trust, and there becomes no trust between siblings. So that's how you see, I'm not really talk to my sister. I don't talk to my brother. I don't like this person. I don't like that person. So you see the roots from the ancestral karma that we saw. That's a generational curse. That, because God says that was not my plan. That's the strongholds. And that's a generational curse that's created from trauma that hasn't been healed. So you grew up in that. So it doesn't mean that, what it means is abandonment. What it means is neglect. What it means is feeling unworthy. And what it also means is abuse. Because again, if you're the black sheep of the family and you're being told that there's something wrong with you, and psychically, because you know what you know how a person is, it's because there's so much pain and anger, because no one's getting their needs met. No one's met because no one's doing the healing that they need to do. So they're looking at the other person to help them to do the healing, because that's codependency, and that's what happens when there's fragmentation, codependent. So you're pretty much taught that not to love yourself. So you had to learn how to love yourself, and that's only because your parents didn't love themselves, and it wasn't because they weren't good people. It's because again, they're judging themselves by their environment and by their experiences, and not really having that strong sense of self. And so it creates a lot of trauma. And so that's what you're actually seeing. When we look at the world, that's what spiritual warfare is. Spiritual warfare is an attack on the mind to what you perceive. It's an attack on your spirit, your spiritual sovereignty, where the devil says, I don't want you to be able to have your heaven on earth. I don't want you to have that. So how can I ruin that? Well, I'm going to ruin the roots of the family so they won't be strong. And so then if their family is not strong, well, then people feel like they're out there all alone trying to make their life work, and they're not making their life work. And so they're looking for guidance, but they don't know who they're getting that guidance from, because there's a belief that they can't heal themselves. When really you can heal. You might not be able to heal all the way, but understand when the student is ready, the teacher appears. If you need something, the universe will always bring it to you. That's the way that it works. So, hey, I might be one healer on your stop, but then there's many, because I'm not God. I can't heal everything. I just work for him and I don't get paid enough. God says, you ain't that good. That's like, you're still in training. I'm actually very good. You're just still in training. My point is that everybody has a process. And so there's a healer for every process and stage. And this way you never get ripped off, because any person that says that they can do it all, well, they can't. However, you can heal. And spirit says, and it starts with healing that ancestral karma. So we might as well go backwards even more so and look at and say, well, how will we do that? And then we'll look at the relationship. Because spirit says when there's that ancestral karma and fragmentation, you usually attract the person that has that too. So you may be like, I really want a relationship because I grew up like that. And well, guess what? The other person grew up that way too, but they had to be the fixer and the parent, and they hate commitment, and you don't understand why you're dealing with the same thing that you dealt with in childhood and how the hell to deal with it. Because you're like, those are the only people that come to me. The spirit says you don't change your environment, you change you and how you deal with it. Because then you change the dynamic of the connection. You make the person move. That's why readings change due to the information. And that's why you should never like follow readings 100%, because they can change. There's divine guidance, unless they're a healing channel. Like I'm a healing channel. So this, applies, because again, it's to transmute your wounds. But as I'm saying, that there's many different realities that play it at one time. Your level of consciousness depends on what has happened in your life. So when you heal, you obviously raise your vibration, you raise your consciousness. And so alchemy is taking that pain and turning it into power, is doing something with it, God says. It's like, and again, if you're the black sheep and you're building something, you're growing something, you're trying to create something for yourself, well, that you need to you channel it there, is what spirit says. You turn the pain into power. You step into a new version of yourself. And that's where you're like, I don't care what you think. I'm confident though. So you'll eventually like me because you keep seeing my face. Not because like I change, because I will not change. But my courage and my belief and my strength in who I am, spirit says, when you're strong within yourself, well, that's what people are gonna look to. But if you came in all like nervous and trying to blend in and trying to change yourself, then spirit says, fuck you, it's not gonna work, because I didn't make you to do that. You think you grew up in that family to be like everyone else? Yeah, God says, nah, forget it. Like you're not going to give me a watered down version of yourself. It's like it's time to transform. It's like that's you want to be a new person. You got to be a new person. This isn't about changing you. It's about becoming more confident. It's about, putting it out there the best way that you know how. It's about believing, turning the fears into strength. Again, the profound change is that, and alchemy. Come on, you got the two big cards. Spirit says, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. That alone is going to change your world, because you change the perceptions of people. And really that's a profound thing, because people remember you, and that to me is something, because it means you taught. Spirit says it's about releasing the limiting beliefs that no longer serve you, that there's something wrong with you, that you're inadequate, which is what spirit says again in the beginning, where it's like I have to conform, and spirit says no, release that. That might have been the belief, because hey, I played that role as a black sheep because hey, it made the family function, even though it didn't really function. There were much bigger problems than me. They just didn't want to address them. It's like, and that's the thing where spirit's saying now, you turn that pain into power. where it's like, I can stand alone and be strong and be the black sheep and be the squeaky wheel. I don't care. It's like, and eventually people again say, well, I actually like who you are because you're consistent in who you say you are. You're not full of shit. And that's the thing where, oh my God, look at this card. Fear, strength. Spirit says, you might have seen yourself as weak. Remember, if you grew up in that environment, you were weak. So this is about transforming and changing and alchemizing those spiritual blocks to become a leader, to become something much bigger than yourself. Acknowledge what you have already overcome and go with conviction. Spirit saying it's like you earned it. You earned it. So whatever you're building or trying to create, which is what Spirit's saying, it's like you're in the process, but part of that. And so maybe you're in some weird training, like for work, or like you're, whatever you have to be around these people. Spirit's saying it's like that's okay, because over time, trust is something that happens over time. You might be one of those people that's like, I'm really nice, and I go in and I give 100%, and people are like real like this, or they, have perceptions of me before they really ever got to know me. And Spirit says, yes, all that's true. All of it's true, but all of it is their fear. And you're like, why am I attracting that? Spirit said, you have fear. Yeah, now you have fear strength, because I put you in a situation that required you to like be like, I don't care. I'm embracing the difference. I believe. You don't have to believe. And I keep showing up and I have a right. And that's what people, again, when you do that, you see it's not the same. Maybe you couldn't do that growing up because you get hit or whatever, screamed at. Where Spirit's saying again, what you did to survive will block you from thriving. Remember, like that's how we create karmic loops. We do the same thing that we always did. Where Spirit said, yeah, that was an imbalanced environment, though. That was not a good environment. This is, you have the opportunity to create the new reality, and that means go through this process. And it's an uncomfortable process, Spirit says. But at the end of the day, it almost winds up being like, well, it was like we were all arch enemies, and I didn't really like them, but I also liked them at the same time. And it's just fucking complicated. And Spirit says, just like how it was growing up, complicated is what Spirit says. But there was always love there. And Spirit says, and that's really what it always comes back to. Now let's take a peek and see what's going on with the connection. Because you're in the process of changing. So sometimes you change so much you don't even like the person anymore. Or you change so much that it changes the person. Let's see, I have 2 decks of cards, which we're going to pull from. I just like to separate them. All right. All right, let's see. And they're just random decks. So we'll pull anything. They're not wound cards or anything like that. I pulled away because I am overwhelmed with all of the things going on in my life. I feel like this person gets themselves into issues, just problems, and I feel like it's because they never grew up. They may party too much. They usually dive in and out of relationships, even if were connected to someone, still diving in and out of relationships, just like a person that never grew up. And so there's consequences. And so I feel like this person is blaming why they haven't been around you because of that. But I don't buy it. I believe that, yeah, they would have came to you a lot sooner if there wasn't bullshit going on. But there was already bullshit that this person had to put you through. but they're going to lead with that if they happen to come back. Jump the timeline, blur the lines a little bit, but you can't do that with the Virgo. That's the problem because Virgo's detail oriented. They're like, no, it happened at 7 o'clock 02 on the dot, and the cat was wearing a shirt, and this happened, like all these little details of proof. So that's how Virgos work. Like we know, please be patient with me. Like I said, I feel like this person's going to come back, and they're going to lead with that, trying to jump the timeline. And they're like, well, like, you seem like you have it all together. And the reason why is because I feel like you knew that they were full of shit the whole time. I'm not going to lie. It's like, yes, you knew that they had feelings for you, but you also knew that they were full of shit. And so the thing is, you didn't curse this person out. You didn't like create drama. This person, again, they're overwhelmed with everything in their life because they create the drama in their life because they don't grow up. You allowed this person to do whatever they did. You didn't fight. And so it's almost like you're the mother energy. Even if you're a guy, there's a sense of, I know exactly what you're doing. So there's nothing more embarrassing to a person that already doesn't feel good about themselves, and then they act like an ass. And then the person that they do have feelings for isn't getting all dramatic. See, if you got dramatic and yelled and screamed, well, then the focus be on you. The fact that there isn't, it's like this person is feeling sheepish, is what I'm feeling. 2 fell out. We got to take them. Our story isn't over yet. I really do think the world of you. Didn't I tell you, I know this person's coming back. I could feel it. I was like, yeah, because it's almost like you're like, I'm not taking it. I'm clearing the programs of intolerance. And part of that is codependent relationships. And part of that is due to the fact of how I grew up. I've always had these patterns due to whatever the trauma is, and you're like, I'm not. And this person is like, I feel like when you dealt with them, they showed you a version of themselves that probably didn't exist. Because what I see here is a person that's kind of really insecure, insecure of who they are. I was pretending to be someone else. I already know that. We already know that it was like the illusions. Something told me to pull from the other deck too. I don't know why I didn't do it. Look at all that shit. Passion and desire fell out. So obviously the person would need to come back because of that. But there's still unhealthy habits and behaviors. So, just because they have this awareness of that, so unhealthy habits and behaviors, like I said, it's usually you're attracting a person that has fragmentation too, and there's usually, like I said, addiction in that. So you may not be someone that has addictive behavior, but you may be that codependent person where spirit says, clearing the programs of intolerance of growing up and all that shit that we just talked about, this person, it's like a red flag. But of course they want to come back because guess what? They're probably in a shit show if there's a lot going on in their life. I'm battling inner demons. It's like this person that fights the fact. I feel like they've lived a certain way for a very long time. They've learned when people have that, so many wounds where they're fragmented, they really do feel inadequate. So they suppress a lot of their emotions and feelings. And they do so through addiction. They do so through these surface relationships. So the thing is that you're on a higher vibration. This person needs to heal in order to get there. So they get triggered a lot by you because, first of all, the fact that you didn't carry on, You didn't fight for the relationship. So this person's insecure. They need someone to like fight for the relationship. They need someone to, that's their way of getting the reassurance, because they're not emotionally intelligent. You see the lower vibration? So when a person's on a lower vibration where they're emotionally not intelligent, well, you're always going to see like addictions. You're always going to see that it's avoidance. And that's the thing. This person, they act like sometimes they don't care when deep down they do. So that's another thing. Like this person can't really show you how they feel. Now that doesn't mean that they can't like try and hook up and show you that they're attracted to you. But as far as emotionally, and that's really what you see. It's like this person like meets you, you're not like that, though I have a connection to you, I'm attracted to you, but if I'm going to be with you, you're going to require me to do A, B, and C, and that triggers me because I don't know whether I can do those things. Their way of surviving, dealing with life. You get up close, well, hey, you're going to see everything, so it's easier for this person to act like they don't care on the outside, which is self-sabotaging. But so, I realized that someone said, oh, yesterday's reading was a little confusing. I said, when people have spiritual blockages, it is confusing because they have feelings, but their habits and their behaviorisms are exact opposite. It's like because you're dealing with someone that doesn't feel safe to communicate, that doesn't want to change, that has learned. So it's like it's not that this person doesn't have feelings, but hey, why am I gonna be in a relationship with you where you have the upper hand emotionally? You're not reacting to me now. I get together with you, you're gonna see who I am, you're gonna say, get the fuck out. I'm not dealing with all that. Or maybe you might not say, get the fuck out. You'd say, please leave my presence. I mean, whatever. You tell this person, hit the road. I don't like drama. I don't want, your addictive behaviors. I don't want the way that you learn to live. Because of your feelings of inadequacy, the feelings that there's something wrong with you, which is why you do that. It's escapism. And because you grew up the same way, you just happen to like reach on to spirituality because you didn't resonate with the church or the temple or wherever your family did to serve the whatever. You built your own relationship, and through that you've healed, where this person but you've healed, but you haven't filled yourself with the Holy Spirit, is what Spirit's saying. It's like, so those karmic cycles, part of really changing is alchemizing. Two is like, otherwise what'll happen is betrayal. What's running the show is the fact that you grew up like with parents that didn't really show up. You were the black sheep again, and this person grew up kind of the same way. And so everyone's afraid. Everyone then begins to live in survival, looking for the problem, where we see what we look for, where you're like, I'm just trying to stay safe. Where Spirit says, no, you are creating yourself right now. So part of creating yourself is alchemizing the energy. However, this person they're in a shit show right now, but there's still this wound here, where they still, when you were dealing with them, you felt like there was betrayal. They will want to come back now because they think the world of you, but they're not going to be able to emotionally articulate what they want 100%, so it's not good. And the reason why is because unless a person can tell you with words, then, and I'm not saying that a person needs to back it up with actions. They're not just words, but this person is more of I'll come in and I'll show you. but their issue is that they can't communicate. And the thing is, they expect you to be a mind reader. They do things to trigger you, to get you to react, to figure out how you feel. You're not in sixth grade. You're not in fifth grade. It takes you off your path. It's like they need to hurt you in order to know that you have feelings for them instead of have a conversation. I mean, come on. That's betrayal. That's what it is, because hey, this is the way I grew up. It's not safe. Do your healing work. That's the thing. And understand, you standing alone, even with this person being like, this is the way that I do it. I don't care how you do it, but you need you need to heal yourself from that, because understand that what will happen then is just this person will sit there and ruminate, and they'll ruminate and they'll think you're with somebody else. And I can't stand the thought of you with somebody else, because there's love there. It's not that there's not love. That's what soulmates, when they come together, it's like there is love. Even if it's a past life karmic mate, yes, there's love. The problem is that with a past life karmic mate, there's fragmentation from past trauma, whatever the experiences were in the past life. So both partners lived a karmic theme, and that karmic theme could be abandonment. It could be betrayal. In this case, it would be betrayal. And you meet up again in this life. But does this person mean to be betrayal? No, they're in survival mode. It looks like they get out of one relationship and move into another relationship. And so the karmic cycle begins again, because there's a sense of, well, you're different. Yeah, but they're the same, and they're on a lower vibration. So lower vibration means they're going to try and control. Then it's going to trigger your need to control again. So the dynamic is you wind up back in a karmic situation that you grew up in. You recreate that karmic dynamic, because what you see is the wound is betrayal. Does that mean that the person doesn't have feelings? No, like you see that the person has feelings. That's what people don't understand. It's like, there's a connection. What happens over time is that the trust is ruined. The trust is ruined to the point that it ruins the relationship. But that's why they say there's a fine line between love and hate. So it's like where you're like, you begin to look at that person and you're like, you just can't be with them, because you're like, I just can't, because the betrayal. And yes, they become a little ugly, because it's almost like, I don't see you the same way anymore. And that's, when there's so much betrayal over time, that's what happens. Neither one of us is being honest right now. Why are we both afraid to express ourselves? No, buddy, you're the one, or Mrs., you're the one that's like afraid to express yourself. It's like where this person's like, but I know you have feelings for me. So I think that, you would be telling me, and you're like, no, I'm not going to make it easy for you, because that's what you want. You want me to be the one that comes in and plays that role. And it's like, no, it's like it takes two to be vulnerable. Like this person makes you not want to be vulnerable. You grew up in a family that you weren't allowed to be vulnerable in. It's like, no, it's like they have to be the one that fixes it. And the thing is, I'm struggling with codependency. I'm afraid to let go of my old coping mechanisms. I'm fighting inner demons, where that's what you're seeing. It's like, I want to do it, but I'm comfortable, which means it's a no-go. It's like, because this person's having so many problems, I know I need to release attachments with karmic people. So this person might even have someone on the back burner. They might even have someone that they live with that you would never know, because it's like this person is like, the person's an attachment. It's like, I don't have feelings for that person. We just kind of live together. but understand there's still an emotional connection. And I say that because, listen, you're comfortable. This person's doing something for you, as vice versa, and you're doing something for them. So there's a fine line between love and hate. So what this person has is there's a lot of shit going on in their life because they're with somebody that emotionally doesn't get, from them. And that's what I felt. I felt like there was somebody that ran around with a lot of people, but then, might have had someone at home, but you would never know because it's like a sham of a relationship. And, but it's like there's emotional connection where it was like for a long time, this person that's connected to you felt responsible for that person, is what I'm feeling, and so but now the karmic, which we'll call that person a karmic, I feel like is like, I like, how dare you want to leave, and that, so, or how dare you want to go, like, it was one thing if this person ran around and had it here for a good time, not a long time type of relationship, that the karmic wouldn't care. But if this person's trying to leave, where that's the thing, this person's trying to leave, and I think the karmic knows that, and so it's creating a lot of chaos in this person's life. But they haven't done any healing. They're going to run from one place right into another, and they haven't. Being that they haven't done any healing, it's just not. It's not healthy. I'm afraid this relationship is too good to be true, and so I pull away in fear. I long for your kisses and your touch. I feel the sensual energy between us. It's all sex. I'm not going to lie. That's all that I see here. It's like I feel a sexual energy between us. It's beyond physical attraction. And then spirit says, yeah, but it needs to be elevated to express of deep unconditional love. A past karmic mate, what that's the problem. A karmic mate will never let themselves 100% let themselves be transparent. They won't allow themselves to create that intimacy bond. And that's due to that fragmentation, how they grew up, the wounds. So it's all sex. But again, it's like lusty, and that's the problem. It's like it's if it's just that, then they haven't done any healing, then they're kind of like a narcissist. They come back in and they're like, well, maybe you'll be the person that fixes me. And so that's the issue. It's the fact that, I see a lot of sex here. I see a lot of, like, that's what this person is like. That's the catalyst. I feel our energy merging together as it has a life of its own. Yeah, because they're obsessive now. And that's because they're, in a shit show storm with somebody that they don't want to be with, that, they're trying to figure an escape plan out. Come on. And it's like, and so they're like, yeah, now I'm like really like in love with you. Like, I feel like this person like falls in love with being in love. And it doesn't mean that their feelings are not real. The problem is that, they're in love with a person that they haven't taken the time to get to know, and that's the thing. It's like your perception, which is, wow, like everything that I want. You didn't cause any drama. You have an alone life. Listen, in their mind, you're this person, but that's not who you are, and unless they take the time to get to know you, then they don't create the intimacy, they don't create the trust. And when there's no trust, it's very easy to betray again and again and again because there's no intimacy. So that's what corrodes the relationship. That's what they're getting out of now. So why that karmic is probably pissed off when they feel like, well, I'm gonna fucking control you, right? It's, again, that's what's said, where they're like, I feel controlled by people, I got to get out of here. Yeah, that's because, hey, emotionally you're not giving to that person, because, hey, they were the flavor of the month at one time, but guess what, there's only the Breyer's vanilla ice cream in there. That's nothing else. No, there's no chocolate chip mint or bud pecan. There's no other flavors in there, just vanilla. That's all you get. And this person is like, I could stay when I was running around with a lot of people, but then that became not really satisfying. And that's the thing. So now all of a sudden you're satisfying because I feel like there was a real connection at one point. It's just this person was like, I'm not going to do it. I need you to trust me and believe me. I'm working towards union with you. Like now there's this illusion. Now I'm not saying maybe some of you guys are going to be happy that this person comes back, you know, um, but almost like you still hold this space for this person, which is kind of, again, narcissistic to me. I want to hold you in my arms and feel our bodies unite. More sex, more sex. That's all that we see here. So again, this person is becoming obsessed. It's again, they're trying to manifest you back into their life, but again, it's not you. It's a you that they have that variation of you in their mind, and that becomes dangerous. And that's the thing. So it's not that this person doesn't believe that they have love. They do, because they're like, my heart is opening to love and guiding me back to you. And you might be like, don't come back here. I don't want you to come back here. Don't come back here now, where this person is like, I believe it. I believe it. Now I'm ready. And that might have been because at one time, this person and you really had this strong connection. Past life karmic mate, like it feels like twin flame. It feels like a twin flame relationship because there's so much passion, there's so much chemistry, there's so much, and that's what this person is feeding on. But it's again, they're almost like, don't look at the bald man behind the green curtain. You know what I mean? It's like all this has happened. Don't look at the pink elephant in the room that's happened. And you're like, you keep on doing the same thing. Clear the illusion of the 3D world. Don't take everything at face value. There's a lot more going on spiritually and energetically than you can see. So this person is changing on the inside. It's not that they're not, but I feel like it's, again, they're getting out of their situation. There's a new awareness, but I still don't feel like they've done all the healing that they need to do. I'm just saying. I feel insecure and it's pushing me to grow. It's almost like this person's defending themselves through the cards. Yes, I know I'm insecure, but it's pushing me to grow and I'm leaving that person. Yes, but have you done any work on yourself? That's the thing. I'm afraid you're going to meet someone else before I'm ready to be with you for good. So this person's more afraid of you moving on with your life before they get out of their shit show, is what it looks like to me, and that they're really convincing that you're that person. It's not, I've been giving my power away to people in my life. I'm learning to set boundaries. Yeah, like it's like already, now, like I said, they're so miserable in where they are because someone's stealing all their energy, but they were allowing it for a long time. And now this person is so miserable that they're saying, the universe brought us together for a reason. I'm trying to discover what those reasoning is. Because again, why do I still have a connection with you? Why do I still? So it's like, yes, this person has feelings, but they're not 100%. They're just not 100% healed. I'm not even, it doesn't really even matter. Like, I mean, what did they do in the past? We'll pull like 3 cards for it, but I mean, really not. And Stonewall, what happened is, it's like this person, when you didn't talk to them, it's like, hey, so like what would happen is, like, if this person didn't like what you were saying or what you were doing, they just wouldn't talk to you, to like, be like, oh, you like, you might question them on something. And so they'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to punish you by just not talking to you anymore, like by, pretending that you don't really matter, which we saw that already. And it made you feel forgotten about, like, which we knew. And you felt like you were tired of living an illusion, like, where it looks okay maybe from the outside, but you emotionally weren't getting what you needed, from this person, which you wouldn't be able to because they were dividing their time, it looked like, through a lot of people. How much could they possibly give to you, right? But that was part of their way of feeling safe, you know. It made them feel good about themselves, being connected to a karmic that, you know, the relationship is there's no love, but it's more like a sham. Well, over time, like, you think that karmic talked nice to that person. No, they didn't talk nice to that person. They made them feel like a piece of shit, which is why they had to run around and, make themselves feel good with a lot of other people, and that's the thing. So to be with you, they can't have that coping mechanism. See, that karmic that's making them feel like shit wasn't going anywhere. That was still someone that was gonna, you know, complain, but still put up with it, still do everything, to keep their place in this person's life. But, it allowed this person to stay like a child. To be with you, they actually have to grow up. And that's the thing. It's like, can they do it? Well, they've been living for a long time not having to worry about it. And so, they don't know whether they can do it. They have a lot of codependency. You saw that all through this reading: codependency, 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 and there's a fine line between love and hate, including with that karmic, like, this person, like, there's might not be love, but there's obligation, like, almost like, well, and that's because the karmic, I'm sure, tells them you need to be obligated to me because I do XYZ, because it keeps that person in that spot. But the dynamic, like I said, just this person has to change their whole life. So it looks like they're trying to do it. They're doing it, but there's chaos in this person's life right now. I know I'm beating a dead horse. I don't think that you need to, like, be with this person, though. Well, pull for it. Let's just say you choose to be with this person. Just for shit and giggles. I don't really predict the future, but just for shit and giggles, let's just see what the cards say. How would this person treat you? Like, what would they, like, if the relationship went back to, like, would this person be different? Would they, well, in the beginning, like, it would almost be like, this person's so happy. Like, I feel like they would really come in and really try to do it. Like, it almost feels like, like, not like a party, but it, like, we see here, like this person would be so happy. They would take you out to dinner to celebrate. They would really try and make it, like, special to win you back. And they would be, again, and they would do it for a long time, is what Spirit's saying. However, I feel like this person, for the most part, would change. However, I feel like they would still hide certain things from you. And I see this because it says look closer. It says in depth, don't assume, like deep dive, hidden. So there's a sense of they would still hide certain things from you. But the thing is, I feel like this person would be also afraid because, like, you're very intuitive. So that's another thing. See, that's another thing. It's like, I feel like this person's like, if you were, like, docile, like, and I could push you around the way that I do with that karmic, I would be able to, but it wouldn't. You would wind up, like, calling this person, like it would it would be a very intense relationship. So it's not that this person wouldn't try. It looks like they're going to come back and that they are going to try, but they're still not healed. The difference is that you're going to call them out on it, that you would have to set the boundaries, that this person knows that about you. So they'll still sometimes try and hide things. I didn't see like cheating or anything like that, but like maybe disappear for a few hours, or, here or there, or, where like it creates like suspicion, by where they're not really being honest. It's like that they just don't communicate, and so they don't like 100% want to share everything. And like their time in the beginning, and what spirit's saying, it's like over time this person and you would like grow a groove, but to understand in the beginning you're the one that's going to be setting the boundaries, like especially if you expect this person to just treat you the way you want to be treated. Spirit says they don't really know how to do that. This person is like in a, you're in this part of a soul tribe, is what Spirit's saying. And so you'll be actually, the difference is it's almost like when this person comes back, I feel like you're going to offer this person like friendship in the beginning. It's going to come real slow in the beginning. And I feel like it's because you don't really trust this person. Not going to lie. And this person knows it too. And I almost feel like they're going to reach out to you through social media, or for some, for some just show up, right? But I feel like either way, they're going to contact you. And so there's a real want, there's a real desire. This person is going to try. The thing is that they haven't done 100% of the healing, but they're willing to try. It's just right now they're fighting inner demons. And, but there's a very strong spiritual force that's pulling this person towards you. This relationship is very multidimensional, because I feel like it's a soulmate, past life karmic mate, and this person's coming into your life where they're ready to step it up to twin flame level, and they're saying, I'm ready to do that. Because what you see is that they're really going to try, and I feel like you're going to hold them to that. And that's, you're not going to be so, willing to let this person, but again, it's just this strong invincible spiritual power, like like this force, like that's pulling this person again to you. But like I said, the relationship's multifaceted because they were a karmic. They are a karmic. And so, you saw a lot of bad behaviorisms there. But you understand that everybody goes through their situations when they come from that type of trauma. So you might be like, I went through that trauma, but I always showed up for people. And Spirit says, yes, you did the healing. This person did not do the healing. This relationship, the only way that really about healing for both of you is unconditional love, which I would never say take this person back. And Spirit says that you're going to agree to be friends with this person. So don't listen to me. But Spirit says because this person, there's a lot of passion. It's not one-sided. It's like, yes, this person wasn't an asshole. They didn't do right. They're realizing it. So you're not going to make it easy for them, but they're going to have to work their way back into your life, but they're going to do it again and again. It said it. So I can't fight it. And Spirit says that because it's all about coming back to unconditional love. It's like this person's a soulmate, and it's their past life karmic mate, which means they did a lot of fucked up shit, because of their trauma. And Spirit says the key is don't let it become your trauma. It's like this is about standing alone and becoming strong within yourself, with work, well, guess what? It's also about becoming strong within yourself to not be codependent. This person wants to come back. They want to be friends. They want to do, again, you are always on a higher vibration than them. So if it's something that you want because there is a lot of passion, well, then Spirit says, don't cut your nose off to spite your face. And listen, that would not be my message. So you really know that it's Spirit's message. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face, because this person's going to try. It's like they have every lifetime a past life karmic mate has the opportunity to do it right. It's like it just so happens that in this lifetime, this person wants to do it right with you. Now, you have free will to choose, but Spirit's saying, but if you have feeling for the person, again, don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Understand that. It's almost like this person, like the love is just timeless. It's timeless. And then you're both clearing ancestral karma. Literally, that's what it says on this card. Ancestral karma, ancestral and timeless connection. So Spirit says that's why. And the only thing that would heal that is unconditional love. So you're getting a person that's probably triggering a lot of your wounds of abandonment, of feeling like you're not giving me the attention and the love emotionally. I didn't get that growing up, and then you're doing this. And Spirit says any chance that they could have fixed this in any way that they could, they didn't. But not because of you, but because it looks like they're not really emotionally smart. What's making this person come back is like they're uncomfortable. They're stressed out now because, hey, you didn't act the way that they thought that you would. They thought that you would fight for the relationship, and then maybe not fight, but then eventually they thought that you would come back, and then you never came back, and then you didn't say anything, and then it's like just so that is what triggered everything to this person being like looking at you and now being controlled by that karmic, where again they're giving away all their power to this person that they don't want to be with, and they're looking at you where you just kind of walked away. So of course they're like, I want to be with you, because being with you I can have my own life. With the karmic, I feel responsible for this. I don't want to be with this person anymore. There's a relationship been over 1,000,000 years ago. It's a drain, where that karmic's creating more and more anxiety because they're saying, I know you want to go somewhere because of how you're acting. It's not a fling, it's something else, because you're not here. The karmic used to get things once in a while, maybe not sex, but you used to sit and watch TV with me once in a while, or we used to eat dinner. Now you're not around. Like, it's clear that there's somebody. It's not a fling. Because if it was a fling, you'd still watch it. You'd still watch All in the Family with me at 11 o'clock at night, like what we used to, or whatever it is. Like, there's somebody else. Like, clearly there's another lover. There's somebody else that you want to be with. And because everybody knows when there's somebody else, and this person is like, there is somebody else, but they're getting help for it. Right now, as you can see, there's a shit show going on where they are, because they're like, I don't want to be there. It's like, and they're comparing you to that person, but understand that person has, given this person their life. They're not getting love from this person. So they chose not to leave because on some level, that is their life. And this person that wants to be with you, and it didn't say this in the cards, but I'm still going to say it, is they still haven't taken the time to get to know you. And that's why God said, that's why they're coming back, and you're going to be friends with them. And that's why they're friends. And that because you're going to learn balance. So your choice whether you want to be friends with this person. Personally, me, I don't know if I would be friends with the person, but that's just me. And I need healing in that area. But that's just me, because you'd have to do a lot if you betrayed me like that. You'd have to do a lot. And Spirit says, oh, I'm expecting you to do a lot. Like, remember, you're not just rolling out the red carpet to this person because there's this deep, intense connection. You got kind of gotta, your friends, which means you gotta date other people. It means you gotta go out and not tell this person because you're not codependent. What you're doing is you're saying it's gonna be my way now. And if you're that way, then this person has is hot for you. They're going to mold to what you want. You're setting the boundary, is what Spirit's saying. So you're not going to get the same version of this person. But the whole point is, again, not to change you. Yeah, I mean, it's not to change the environment, it's to change you. You can't tell this person to change. You're the one that's doing it. And that's the, I'll let you in my life, but this is the way it's going to be. And if someone really does love you, that's what they're going to do. So I'm shocked to shit myself that they're coming back, but and I'm shocked to shit that there really is unconditional love there, but that's the way that the reading went today. And because there's such a strong force, but I believe that part of that is because this person's also in like a really bad place. So my advice, take it slow. And one more is the path to light. Make the conscious choice to move towards the light one step at a time. You transform your weaknesses into strength by mastering your thoughts. Yeah, so again, that's going to be challenging, again, being in a relationship with this person too, if they're on a lower vibration. Just saying. But Spirit says, well, it's to master your thoughts because we're not controlling the environment, we're controlling ourselves. I get it. I overcome obstacles with positivity and acceptance. I develop my gifts and I extend my light to every being unconditionally. Where Spirit says, again, it's not about it's about you becoming so strong. That was the beginning of the story and the end of the story. It's not about what anyone else does. It's what you choose to do. You're commanding how you want people to treat you. And it's by how you're treating yourself. That's the moral to the story, is what Spirit is yelling at me over. Shining your light, your desire to improve yourself, transform fears into strength. You raise your thoughts above doubt and you find faith and goodness of the universe you love, and you accept yourself as a soul, and you discover the light that dwells within inside yourself, meaning you have Spirit inside of you. No one can stop you. You stop you if you emotionally let people take you off your track, make you feel bad, make you feel like what you're doing is bad. Spirit says this is all throughout this reading. It's about not changing you. It's about becoming strong in you, and that eventually everyone comes around. That's what it looks like. It looks like everyone's an asshole in the beginning, and then everybody at the end comes around where they're like, you know what, I actually like you. It's like, again, where Spirit says that's why you need to stay the same and be true to yourself, because that's what people are going to see, and people are going to mold to that. Because these people that are getting triggered by you, well, they're getting triggered, and which is fear. This person got triggered, fear. So you need to, again, be strong and understand that, you attract this person because you needed to actually integrate the fear that was inside of you from the way that you grew up. And that's how you really clear ancestral karma. It's about embracing who you are, but where you might say, I've always embraced who I am, is that people, and Spirit says, yes, people get triggered by it. So again, it's not about changing you. It's about being like, I'm so strong. It's not about changing you where you change your identity, is what I'm trying to say. Like where you change to mold to the environment to fit in, because you'll never fit in. That's the moral too, because you grew up as a black sheep, which means Spirit saying, well, you're here to do big things, if you were smushed. So part of, the way that you grew up gives you gifts. And so perseverance, resilience, courage, strength, but understand you didn't feel strong. And Spirit says, but now that you went through this, you should see how really strong you actually are. That's the moral. That's how you transform. that pain into power, and you get to see a different version of yourself. I'm going to leave that there. Now I can read your comments if anyone has a question. What is this? But what happens if I'm the karmic, but he's a cheater and I'm doing the shadow work, but he is on a high vibration? Well, first of all, it's like if you're the karmic, if you're the everyone's the karmic. That's a karmic connection. Unless so unless you're the karmic person, what are you doing that makes you the karmic? Usually when we say the karmic, it's a person that might be shady, and but like just on a low vibration, where they're like, like the person in the story was someone that didn't want to let go of the person that they were with, even knowing that they weren't happy, because they were still benefiting somehow, and kind of tricking themselves into thinking that the relationship might go back to the way that it was. So are you that person, or are you the person that's, because you said you're not, he was the cheater, didn't you say that? You're like, but he's the cheater, so he would be the karmic because he's the cheater. You are in a karmic connection, which is a codependent connection. So if there's real love, if you become not codependent, it doesn't mean that your relationship would become smooth. It doesn't become smooth. It would probably become very turbulent, and when you step into, not being codependent. But if there's real love there, the person will eventually have to mold to your way. Doesn't mean that they won't try and replace you. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't cheat on you. Like I said, it would be a very tumultuous process, because the dynamic of the connection is you're the one that's the giver and continues to be the giver, in spite of whatever this person does. So if they cheat on you, they're not going to stop cheating. It doesn't mean that they love that person. What it just means is that, you know, I'm not as fulfilled by you. And that's a thing that you need to look at, because if a person's not as fulfilled, now don't take that personally, because you might say, well, how is the person not fulfilled? Well, you have to think of it like this. If you're always available, you're always easygoing, you're just always predictable, which is when a person doesn't get that emotional support, they wind up with people that usually will not give them that emotional support, because the fear is, I'm not going to have that. I never had that. I really want that. So it becomes a focus of, I really want that. And then you don't get it, because God says, you don't need that. And you're like, what do you mean I don't need that? Everybody else has that. And God says, you don't need that from outside people. You should generate it yourself. You're codependent. It's like, if you're willing to put up with a person that's a cheater, where they're, again, like, it doesn't mean that, like I said, that they don't have feelings sometimes. That's not what I'm saying, but understand over time what you would be in is a relationship where someone you'd still, like, you'd be the person that they'd always run back to, and then they would just cheat. It's like, and that's because that person tried to become everything to that person. You can't be that person. That person's flawed. Like, when you're whole, you don't need someone that'll do that, because those imbalanced connections where you're like putting up with the scraps, well, what do you think that they're keeping you around for? It's like, if they're not with you the majority of the time, they're giving attention to other people. But guess what? Those other people have needs and wants too. And when the person's like, well, fuck you, I don't have to do that for you either, they just run back to you. They just run back to that karmic, which is what that looked like in a previous relationship. And then it's like, well, I feel obligated. No, it makes your life easy, so that you don't have to do the healing work. Too much work, and that's a thing. Who do you think is going to pay for that? Not that person. You are the person that's getting the breadcrumbs because they have to, make you feel unworthy in order to feel okay about not giving you anything. So it's again, that's a karmic. You're in a karmic connection where someone's binding you to that. It's like, and that's what I don't like, because it's like it's okay that I cheat. No, it's not okay that I cheat. It's not okay that you cheat, rather. And it wouldn't be okay if I cheated, because then you make me feel unworthy. You make me feel like that there's something wrong with me. You don't show up for me. That you got to be given the person that you're cheating with. You didn't just wind up in the bedroom one day. It means that you carried on a connection, like a more intimate connection than the person that you're actually with. The person that they're actually with is usually the maid, the cook, the clean, and all those other things. But they're not the ones that they're taking out to the nice restaurant and pretending that they're, I work on Wall Street, or I become Fabio, or I become whoever the fuck I think that you want me to be for the hour or two or three that I hang out with you. Because that person's not getting a real version of them. You get the real version of them, which you're like, I don't like this version. I'd rather the cheating version one. I want to be the one that no, they can't do that for you. They can't do that for you because you already saw everything. And that's the problem. It binds you, and that would be a karmic contract. And so you have to ask yourself again, what are you getting from it? And a lot of times it's how much time and energy you've invested into the connection. So then God says that shouldn't have been there. Me first, I'm a jealous God. That's through you first. You got to become yourself. You got to become yourself and find the passion in that way. And once you change, well, you change. Yeah, like I feel like that's what it is. If a person's going to do that type of thing, it's like, if I love you, I'm not going to cheat on you all the time and no hurt. If like you might, then if you do that, then you have sex addiction. But I got to ask you something. Was it Keith Urban that cheated on Nicole Kidman? Wasn't it like he went, oh, it was alcoholism. He went into addiction rehab with alcoholism. My point is, she stood by his side. She did the mommy thing, right? And look, she got disposed of. So it never have I seen like a woman build up a man, and then the thing is, you see their flaws, you put up with all of it, you create it. They don't want that. They're gonna, you know because hey, now you have a say, because you created them, so of course you're gonna have boundaries and want them to treat you a certain way. And now that they have that, they don't want to do that. They'd rather trade you in for an easier model. And that's why I'm saying no. It's like, if you can't be the best version of yourself, then don't waste my time. You're only on this planet for a short amount of time. It goes really fast. And I watched a girl. You're gonna think I'm crazy, and I shouldn't even be saying this on YouTube, but I'm gonna share a little story with y'all. It's like, there was a girl that I she started to date this guy that I like had a thing for, okay? Like, and like we had a thing for each other, but it never manifested because I knew he was a player, but I had a thing for him, very strong spiritual connection. And he started to date this girl. So I would go to Facebook and I would like check out her page. And the reason why I kept doing it was because it was like a soap opera. Every day I would kind of tune in. Like, she got pregnant like 2 weeks after she met. And like she re-entered this karmic cycle where with a different guy, where she got pregnant again. And then what wound up happening was he didn't want to be a part of it. He ran away. And she posted up, I know what to do because I went through this before. Like, I'm like she thought she outsmarted him by going to his parents, where of course the parent was like, you got to do the right thing. He moves with her. She thinks he's going to change. He doesn't change. Doesn't get a job. Doesn't get a job. I watched this woman. She was a nurse and she was beautiful. She was a very pretty woman. She was smart. She was a nurse. You can't be a dummy and be a nurse. Okay. And she was loving to her kids. She was like, I at one point I told my friends, because my friends thought I was crazy. I said I would like tune in every day like it was a TV show. And at one point I was like, I would date her. If I was gay, I would date this girl. I said, she cooks, she works full time, she's the package. I started to like her so much better than I liked him. My point is, every day she would write how he was not there for her. He wasn't there. He wasn't there. And her family came. They bought a washing machine. They bought a dryer. They fixed up the apartment. She did everything. I watched her give birth. I watched her work 24 hours a day, literally. She was a nurse getting double shifts because he wouldn't get a job. You know when the last time I tuned into her channel was? You know what I saw? Her kids throwing her off a boat in ashes because he killed her. And when I say he killed her, she got breast cancer so bad from re-entering like that same karmic cycle. 3 baby daddies. He was number 3. And there was nothing wrong with her. She was, like I said, except for what she felt about herself and what she put up with. Like I said, she wasn't a dummy. She wasn't ugly. There was nothing wrong with her. She was better than he was. And that was the last time. Her mother talking on the boat, they decided, and the little daughter that wasn't even 2 years old, and the son that was like now 7 or 8, or maybe it was like 9, but needless to say, and her 2 other kids all crying, and like now without a mother. And she was the one that held it all together. She was the one. Now her kids were going to get split up and have to live in different places. I mean, because of a guy. So it's like, do not be with a person that treats you like shit. Do not be with a person because they will swap destinies with you. They will take your life. And you don't want that. And it starts off by looking the other way. And that's what she did. She made excuses. She made excuse after excuse after excuse. And like I said, there was nothing wrong with her. It was what she felt about her. And I think that that's a spiritual disease, a spiritual issue. And the thing is, she posted a lot of spiritual stuff, but she didn't follow it. She didn't follow what she posted. So being spiritual means standing alone sometimes. It means being true to yourself no matter what. And sometimes that's really, really, really hard. But if you do that, the right people will show up. And you can turn people that again might not see things your way into being like, well, I don't really still agree with you, but I see things at least from your perception. And it's all about creating empathy and sensitivity. And no, you never know who you're dealing with. Someone that you may know may be in a relationship like the one that I just explained. And you need to be strong enough to like give that person the support and the guidance that they need. A lot of times they don't want to hear it, but you have to do it. So was there any other questions? I'm biting my tongue and meditating daily. like, thank you so much. You're a demon fighter. That's good. You have to be a demon fighter. Yeah, well, now I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, just always be true to yourself. Like I said, everything happens in the spiritual realm first. So you have a chance to change it. That girl, by the way, I want you to know she died before she was 40 years old. She was 39. That's a horrible thing. I think I'm gonna do it. You missed the last one, Missy. I think I might do another one tonight, but most likely tomorrow. I'm going to try tonight, but like I said, I think it's going to be tomorrow. I was up since 5 in the morning. I had a BNI group, which is a business group. So I think I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll actually put one up tomorrow. I might do another live stream tonight for you guys. I don't know. I'm going to see how I feel. But I'll definitely do the coaching tomorrow. Coaching is a little more in depth because I always pick a topic that we toy around. Is there any topic that you want to learn that you want me to focus on? Hmm. I don't know why. But what is there any topic that you want to know that you want to focus on? Boundaries. Okay, so I will write up a one for tomorrow. Thank you. And you know what you said, Angela, like angels, sorry, angels of sky. Um, what you said, you were like, this one's confusing, like yesterday's. And I said, it will be confusing if the person, when people have psychological reversals, it's confusing because they feel one way, but then they do something else to, like they get in there, they self-sabotage the connection, and it's because they get triggered all the time and you don't know what's going on in that person's mind, why they're getting triggered. So that's what the reading I was explaining yesterday was that the person like had feelings but they were fighting it. They were not giving in to the connection. They did not want to give into the connection. They did not. They were okay with where they were at that time. So that's why, because a person can have feelings for you and not come back and not do anything. Like this person wants to come back and do something. Yesterday, the other person was like, I'm not doing all that for you. Sorry. And you're like, well, what the hell was the whole point of the connection if you didn't want that? And I go, because the person was a player. And if I recall yesterday, the person was living with that karmic and there was no problems with the karmic, possibly because the karmic didn't know. So maybe that's why today if there's a problem because the karmic's like, I'm not having this anymore. I don't know if it's the same karmic, might not be the same karmic, might be a completely different relationship. But like I said, the story yesterday was the person didn't care. They were like, I'm not fixing this. Crown chakra and root chakra need. Well, then all the chakras are off. So I will do a thing on boundaries. The second chakra, really, when all the chakras are off, that second chakra is really off. And so relationships are next to impossible. And that's what you'll notice. So I will definitely I'll do a show on that. And you'll be able to ask questions, but I like to write something up and do a little research on it because I like to bring in the spiritual elements of it as well, not just the psychological ones, but what are the strongholds? What are that you have to break, the things that you need to do. I think that, listen, chakras represent psychological and emotional aspects of yourself, which are spiritual. We have chakras everywhere, but there are seven main ones, right? And those seven ones are like the foundation, the core of who we are. So people say, oh, just sit there and meditate with the stone. I don't think that it's like, listen, if you meditate with the stone, they're like, and it changes the vibration. I don't do that kind of stuff. My thing is like, if you have a root chakra imbalance, you have a bad connection to your physical body. You have a bad connection to the physical world. You might have money issues. It'll show up within the nervous system, the endocrine system, the skeleton system. You see the same karmic themes play out that make you feel inadequate, that make you feel that you don't belong, that make you feel like lack, like limitation. You're stuck in that energy, usually because you grew up without the support, the ancestral. And so it's like you're not going to heal hypervigilance with just doing meditating, or doing, you have to actually do like body mind work, which yes, you can do at home, but you need like training first to do it correctly at home. So the answer is yes, but no. Like a lot of treatments you're supposed to do at home, it takes a year to recreate a new habit. Yes, it takes like 30 days to like for it to somewhat stick, but no, really it takes a long time. When you're reconditioning the body mind connection, it's not going to be no 30 days. It's not. It's like it's just habit. We create neurological pathways in our mind from doing the same action. So if you lived with a narcissist or you lived where you were gaslit and you have hypervigilance, it's just a thing where you're reading people and now, you're getting bullied all the time. It's like there's healing protocols that you need to do, to break those karmic themes. I mean, my foundation of what I tell people to do is to like do some sort of body mind work at home, do some sort of breath work at home. The most important thing is presence, to be in the moment, to be here now, because a lot of experiences that are karmic, they replay obviously within your life. That's what a karmic cycle is. When they say, oh, every 13 years this happens, every 8 years this happens, whatever it is, it's a karmic cycle where it's just the same karmic theme coming back, and it's, you haven't learned it, and you see those cycles play out within people's life. Like, look at Mary Jo, she's in that another relationship again, it's not going to work, it's another cheater. The same story happens. There goes Bob, he got another job, oh, he lost it again. He's an alcoholic, he gets in his own way, he sabotages it. It's again the karmic cycles from the habits and the behaviorisms. So you have to know what your habits and your behaviorisms are. You need to know what is blocking you. And then you need to say, okay, how am I going to integrate that spiritual lesson? Some people, you can do reframing exercises at home that will help first create the awareness. There's free templates online, that you can do. I mean, in my shadow coaching program, what we usually do is everything with oracle cards, and then like ask questions, and then there's always the healing regiment, and healing to recondition the body mind connection, or to recondition the breath. When people grow up in trauma, they're not breathing. They're like, they breathe through their neck. They don't breathe like through their diaphragm. So if you're breathing in your neck, you're like, oh, I'm like survival. You're not present. You're not in the moment. So if you grew up in that type of environment, and I know this firsthand because I grew up in that environment, then you need to do a lot to recondition your body and mind. You know, it, oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, come back and subscribe to my channel and join my coaching program. It's only $7.99. I wanted to make something affordable to, and I need more people so that I can be more consistent. I mean, it's hard. Like when the clients call, I got to take the client. Guys got to sign up. It's like, because I love to educate. And really, that's what I want to do. I want to educate, because really, there's a spiritual war happening right now, and that's that spiritual war on consciousness, where you want to take your spiritual sovereignty away. That's why, like in China and like certain parts of the country, they don't let you have religion. They don't let you believe in anything because they don't want you to have that. They want you to depend on government. They want you to depend on other things. So that spiritual war that's happening is really, when you don't know your power. And, if we keep having bad relationships or keep having the same undesirable life experiences, well, then we're not happy. And then it's easy to just, do what everybody else does. And Spirit says, but you don't need to, but you have to heal. Yes, you are, Debbie. You are my number one star. And you really are. And because she's actually interactive too. Sometimes I have people on, they just don't even ask questions. They just kind of like, so, if you join, you actually get a lot of attention. Like you can ask me a lot of questions. You can ask them, take advantage. That's what it's really for. Because coaching without living at the same time is not equal. But if you're living life and you're still dealing with triggers, then you can talk about them and work through whatever it is here. And that's why I'm saying it's like shadow healing isn't just about healing the trauma, it's about creating a new version of yourself. And it's the version that you were always meant to be, and one that you get to see support, you get to see, that support comes through you, through gut intuition and knowing, but comes through your environment at the right times. You get a better connection, not just to yourself, but to other people. That's the whole point. No, it really, yeah, the better you get clear, and that's what it is. Because a lot of times you know the information, but it's hard to like. It's hard when we get emotional, and when we're in a connection, we get emotional. Like you don't know what you feel. You feel mad, like, or you have anxiety because the person makes you that way. But if we learn how to just slow down and really tap into that higher self, and really within the coaching program is what I try to do too, to help you build a stronger connection to your higher self. Because at the end of the day, whether I'm here, I'm not here, someone else is here, you want to be strong within yourself. And that's where you trust yourself, because you keep seeing that, well, I make the right decisions. And sometimes, again, it's hard to do when we're emotional. It's hard to tell, is that my emotions, or is that my claircognizance? Where it's like, so there's exercises for that too. Watch you. And I'm glad for that, Debbie. I'm going to definitely put up the class tonight. I'll probably write something up in a little while, and I'm going to make sure I put it up. So you're going to see that definitely on there for tomorrow. And I may be on again tonight to do another live stream for you guys, depending if I can make it. I don't know. Like, again, I might fall asleep too. I'm going to eat something. So, when you've been up. But thank you. And thank you for always showing up for me, Debbie. I love you for that. And thank everyone else for tuning in. Be true to yourselves. Remember that. Love yourselves. Don't forget to give the video a like, and I see you all tomorrow or maybe later. All right. Bye-bye. Bye, Angel.